Hey friends, it's Missy Whidden, and I'm super excited to be the guest designer this month over at Altenew. And I'm going to be sharing a video tutorial here for one of the two layouts that I created. I received the Our Family collection as part of my guest design package, and I immediately fell in love with this gorgeous paper. These flowers and the colors, just stunning. I knew I had to use this on a layout in some way, and so I went to fussy cutting, and I'm just going to cut the whole thing out. And I'm not being super neat about it, I'm just kind of cutting it out in a quick way. And you can see there it's not perfect, but it's going to wind up looking really pretty. I pulled out a sheet of light blue cardstock from my stash. I'm going to use that as my background. I think it complements those deep pinks and light colors and green leaves really well. And I'm going to use that square photo, a black and white picture of me and my daughter. And I wanted to situate the flower cluster somewhere on the upper left side, kind of running off the page. And I'm just going to lightly stick it down so I don't move it, because if I move it, I'll never remember exactly how I had it. So what I'm going to do is leave it there and just kind of lift it up with one hand and then add some gesso with my other hand. And I'm using a palette knife to just kind of scrape it on, and then I'm using my hand to smudge it and blend it, and so the edges are kind of faded. And what this is going to do is give me a little bit of a white space and a little bit of a barrier on my cardstock, so I can add lots of other mixed media things, and I don't have to worry about it tearing the cardstock. It also creates a little bit of, like I said, white space for me to add color, and it just sort of lightens up the blue, but you can definitely still see all the blue. Now, this is a stencil from Altenew. It is my new favorite stencil, I think, and it is called Classy Stripes Stencil. And I'm just using some modeling paste with my palette knife there, and I'm just scraping it over, not in a very neat way. I don't want it to be perfectly straight. I just mainly wanted some sketchy lines, some texture on the background, kind of coming out from behind all of those flowers. So that's how it looks. I love it. It's very textured, it's bumpy and rough, and it's going to look really cool once I start to add color on top of it. I also received these stamps from Altenew, and they are called Northern Lights dye inks. And I just used a couple of these pink colors here on some plastic packaging and added some water to add some splatters. I'm going to wind up pulling in some more colors from my stash, because I didn't want to do just pink on the background. I wanted to pull in some blues and even a little bit of that deep purple pink color. And there's also a little bit of red, almost a red tint. And so I'm going to kind of do a little messy background, including all of those colors. These are some Distress Oxides from my stash. And I'm just going to use this blue color here with my ink blending foam tool there, and then come back over it with some water, and just to blend it and let it start to run and look a little messy and watercolor-y. Watercolor-y. I know that's not a word, but that's the effect I was going for. And one of my favorite things to do with any type of ink pad is to stamp it down onto some plastic and add some water like I'm doing here, and then just using my brush to splatter or to paint. This is another Distress Oxide. It's a really deep purple pink color, and it matches those flowers perfectly. I keep bringing my picture over just to kind of see how it looks at this point and see if I have enough of the color on the background or if I need to add more. Now, I did grab a gelato from my stash, and this is just a pure red one, and I added just a little bit and then watered it down to pull out some of that deep red color that you see in the flowers. And I just keep working on this. Sometimes it takes me a while to get my backgrounds exactly like I want it. So now that that's all dry, I decided I still wanted to be able to see some of the white lines that I created with the modeling paste, and I kind of covered that up since I'd added so much color. So I'm going to go back over parts of it with some white acrylic paint and just lightly tap the blending tool on top of it, and then you can still see some of the lines now, and I love how that looks. I love the texture and just the messy factor. Now I did not want to cover up any of this flower or flower clusters, so I'm going to cut off all the pieces that are hanging off, and then that leaf cluster that's going to go right under the picture. And I'm going to use it to where you can see it, because this design is just too pretty to cover up. Those flowers are so pretty. So I'm going to just kind of trim off here and there and see what I've got, and just kind of start to layer around the picture. My whole idea was just to kind of have the picture kind of emerging from all of these flowers and leaves, and it's just so pretty. This pattern paper makes this whole design work. Now this is also from the Our Family collection. It's a set of wood veneer, and they're all sticky. They have adhesive on them, and I'm going to use a couple of the leaves, and I'm going to tuck the photo kind of underneath right there so you can see the leaves kind of go around my daughter's head, and then I'm going to tuck that other leaf in there so it's kind of hanging inside that white space on the picture. And most of this layout is pattern paper, pieces that I fussy cut from pattern paper, and some of that wood veneer. So sometimes pattern paper can go a long way. This is another paper from the Our Family collection, and I'm going to do some more fussy cutting with some of these sketchy leaves. It almost looks like these were drawn with like a crayon or a colored pencil or something. And I love that there's blue inside these leaves, so I'm going to incorporate that. And I'm also going to pull in some thread. I love to incorporate tangled thread of matching colors on my layouts. I just think it adds wonderful texture, it adds great color, and I just keep layering in all these bits that I have cut from that pattern paper. These little bitty hot pink, I don't even know what that is. It's some kind of flower bulb, but they add the greatest texture. And the good thing about layering in leaves and stems and things like this is the texture that you get, because you only have to glue down the stem or maybe one leaf, and then the rest of it can just sort of pop off the page. And so you're going to get excellent depth and such pretty dimension from using leaves and flowers and things like that. I'm just going to keep tucking and layering. And it did take some time to fussy cut those things out, but look how pretty this is. I mean, the paper does all the work for you. Now for my title, once I got this far in the layout, I thought I don't want a really big title, because everything is, you know, it's busy enough with all of those flowers and leaves. And so I'm going to use a sentiment from one of the stamp sets that I received, and this is the Painted Rose stamp set. And it's obviously got lots of flowers and leaves, but it also has some sentiments and some words. And so I'm going to cut apart these words. It comes as one long word, but I wanted to break it up so I could stamp it around this leaf. But it's just going to be, I'm always here for you. And I'm always here for is basically one stamp, but I just cut the words out individually, and then you is separate, and it's in more of a scripty font. And I love how that looks. It's very small but still striking, and it doesn't take away from the leaves or the flowers. And I actually stamped it straight. I was proud of myself because I drew lines first. That's the key. I'm also going to pull in some other bits and pieces from the Our Family collection. Some enamel dots. Look how pretty those are. They match perfectly. Pinks, purples, blues, and mint color. And I just added a couple of small ones by the word you. And then I decided I wanted to add a little bit more blue ink over to the right, and so I smudged a little bit of gesso down first, and then I'm going to come back in with that blue Distress Oxide and just smudge a little bit in with the brush there. And really, this layout did not take me that long, and I'm a very slow scrapper. I overthink things, and I take sometimes over the course of 3 days to finish one layout, but that beautiful floral pattern paper just sort of made this layout come together. It took up so much space on the layout that the rest of it was pretty easy to put together. And so I was super excited about how beautiful this turned out. Last thing I'm going to do is add some journaling down there at the bottom, and I did add the date, and that is it. Look how pretty the colors are. I'm obsessed with these colors. So gorgeous. Definitely check out the Our Family collection. Altenew has so many stamps, stencils, inks, you name it. Just everything is gorgeous. I do have another video with another layout using a lot of these same goodies, so make sure you check that out. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the products or techniques, and I'll be more than happy to answer you. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.